Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. I want to share a watch with you guys today. This is a watch I've had now for, geez, it must be at least 12 years. And this is a brand you don't really hear about too often. This is when this watch is kind of, I don't want to say meaningful, but it kind of sparks like a little bit of like a little blast from the past kind of feeling. And so this is what I talk about when it comes to, like, you know, colognes, for instance. They always kind of elicit a memory, right? A moment. Like when I smell certain colognes, it reminds me of certain jobs I had with coworkers where I had good memories from, right? Or an ex-girlfriend, which, you know, good and bad with anything in life. You know, when we have relationships that fail, you know, sometimes people hurt you, right? I mean, that's just part of life. People are humans. We make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I think, you know, part of being human, this should be common sense, but we all make mistakes, right? No matter how perfect you are, no matter how mature you are for your age, or how fun you are, how great you think you are, how alpha or beta, whatever. You know, everybody makes mistakes. But I'm at least for me personally, I'm mature enough to look back at, like, you know, I'm talking, we'll get to the point here. But when we think about, like, relationship and heartache, things like that, I'm sure I'm not the easiest guy to date, but I'm also not the worst, right? And when I think about the girls that I dated, yeah, they definitely caused pain and hurt in my life at different times, but also a lot of joy, right? So my point mentioning that was when I smell like a cologne, it sparks a memory which brings me back to a memory. And sometimes you think of a person or a place, and sometimes that person you may feel indifferent towards them, but you can still remember the good, I guess, in those moments. Be like, oh yeah, that was a part of my life and I don't really regret it, right? You know, and so, you know, watches kind of do the same thing, but in a different way, right? Because I don't feel like watches they don't really elicit the same, I think, physical response, right? In physical memory, it's different. But for instance, with this Valjoux 7750 Alexander, this watch reminds me of when my channel started to grow, and I was getting way more views back then because it was watch only channel, right? Specific. And I collaborated with Sterling Watches, and Sterling owns Alexander. I don't know what else Sterling owns or who owns Sterling, if any, but you know, I did a lot of work with them in the beginning there, and that we're going back a ways. I think they sent me like 30 or 40 watches at once. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I remember being like, no way. I just picked out like one of everything almost, and they were like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, okay, like, but inside I was like, what? You're gonna send me all these fucking watches? I couldn't believe it. And so these are more of their expensive ones, right? So these things again had a price point of like $5,000. So this is their. I had to go to Amazon here to find this watch, and this is. I remember on their website they used to have this referred to as two names. It was the Vanquish and then the Olyn, and then there was another watch that did the same thing. So we'll just kind of consider this the Vanquish Olyn. And so this one here, I ended up getting like 3 of these. And I ended up selling 2 of them because you can only wear so many watches, right? And I just kind of felt like, you know, sell it while you can, you know, sometimes, because not everything holds value. And we can see that even with brands where people claim, like Rolex, always hold value, you can always make money. It's not always true. So I feel like if you have something, you got, you know, you didn't, like for me personally, those were brand new. One was a black watch. I never wore it. For me to wear a black watch, I figured, let me give it a new home. I'll get something else. I think I bought some other watch the money. So, but this one I would never get rid of because this kind of I wanted at least one by Alexander. And this is a Valjoux 7750, which is a very well-respected automatic chronograph movement. It's used in hundreds of different watch brands out there, luxury brands as well. And it's, you know, I'm not going to get into, because honestly, I can't get into what makes this such a great respected movement. I'm not a watch mechanic by any means. I just collect watches, right? Pretty basic. And so, but this watch is pretty cool because it does remind me of the time where I was like, man, I remember when I pulled this out. Because at the time, if we just go with like retail value and crazy overinflated price points on watches, which are, everybody does it. Everybody says, oh, Invicta, you know, it's not, every brand does this. But I remember wearing this, being like, dude, I remember showing my coworkers, and I'm like, yeah, check it out. I just got this watch. Go to the website. And I send them the link. They see like $5,000. They're like, oh my God. But realistically, you know, I think I sold one of mine for like $800. Maybe 6. I don't remember. 6 to 8. So really, you know, when you're looking at Valjoux movements, the price is all over the board. And you're always going to pay more for anything with a Valjoux. It just warrants a higher price. I think that's why a lot of brands if they want to build a watch. When we're building a watch like this, I can wholeheartedly state that this watch isn't any nicer than I don't want to say Invicta Pro Diver, because sometimes there are Pro Divers and there are Pro Divers. But if I compare this to, say, this Spinnaker watch here, or Oceaniva, absolutely. If one, you guys know I've been working with Oceaniva for a while, you're going to be seeing a new one coming in a couple days. I say Oceaniva is an amazing brand, and I put Oceaniva quality over this brand, absolutely. But this is still a nice brand. But when we look at the quality, I can kind of compare this to, well, the ones I have here are more expensive, but just like a Bulova, like this Bulova Precisionist, you pick this up for, refurb $300, which I think I got mine. I don't know if mine was a refurb, but it works great. I've had it for like 10 years as well. But when we compare the quality, not really much difference, right? And when it comes to quality of watches, remember, we're talking 316 stainless steel, right? The quality of this watch is no better or worse than any other good quality watch, right? And that's just really what it comes down to. We can compare it to the Aquadive here, $2,000. It's just as nice. Now, there are sometimes things that people look for and expect to have a higher tiered watch, right? Doesn't mean it's better. For instance, again, what kind of movement does this have in it, right? So if you're going to charge $1,000, let's just say this was $1,000, right, on sale or something. If you're going to charge $1,000, you better have a movement in it that warrants that. You can't be charged $1,000 for a watch with an H35, because there's all kinds of watches in the $100 price points that are great quality. So realistically, what really drives the price of this particular watch up is the fact that it has the Valjoux 7750. And again, the price is all over the place. So it is confusing a lot of times. If you are a guy who doesn't know any better, you might look at a watch and think that, like, for instance, get this to focus, it's a gorgeous watch, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a beautiful quality watch. You're not going to buy this and be disappointed. But, I think it's a little bit, you can't really warrant charging $5,000 for a watch like this when you could buy, certain Rolex watches for that price. Probably not, not a Submariner or anything like that, but, you could definitely buy Tudors, I think, and you could buy luxury. So my point is I'm trying to word this. It's, if you buy the Tudor, you're not getting a better quality watch. You're getting a more expensive branded watch, right? And so that's just kind of the game being played in the watch world. Just know, when you buy a 316 stainless steel watch, it's no different than any other 316 stainless steel watch. Good quality materials are good quality materials. And that's not to say that you can't have one company make, a poorly machined bracelet, right? Or poorly machined links, right? Or a stamp class as opposed to milled. There's always going to be differences. You have to give each watch a fair shake. But this watch is a nice watch. Don't get me wrong. You're getting that Valjoux movement. But at the end of the day, if you put an NH35 in this watch, you're sort of looking at a watch that cost $150, right? There's nothing, if we took the movements out of this watch and a Pagani design, I will say, though, this watch just feels a little heftier, but that's because the movement adds a little bit of weight to it. If we compare this to, like, a steel dive, for instance, my Captain Willard, just pick one for example, right? There's really no difference in quality that I can see or articulate that would rationalize a higher price. So, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about price on this, but ultimately buy a watch that, kind of turns you on, and not sexually. That'd be weird. But, buy a watch that that kind of calls to you. And if you see this watch and you're like, man, I absolutely love that watch, I want to get it, then, you'll have to try to find it and pay, whatever the going rate's going to be. It just kind of depends. But it's your standard 3-link, bracelet watch. I like that they kind of did their own thing. We don't have like a standard ceramic bezel on it where somebody say, oh, it's a Submariner homage. People think anytime you have a 3-link bracelet on a watch that's round in the 40 to 43 millimeter, size, that, oh, it's a, it's a homage. It's not really. Just doing their own thing. They have their own bezel on it, own kind of style bezel. It's got the Valjoux. It's got, just different function pushers that are kind of like these elongated rectangles. It's every bit its own thing. Exhibition window on the case back, showing off that movement. It's a beautiful watch, don't get me wrong. So a little bit about the specifications on it. This one is not the PVD coating. It's just obviously 316 stainless steel. 44 millimeter case diameter, 16 millimeters case thickness. I'm not going to read you all about the rest of this one. Has 100 meters of water resistance, brushed and polished finish. The black one was a great looking piece. I'm glad it went to a home where somebody's gonna, really wear it. I never did. And even this one, I rarely wear. But I wanted to share it because it just can kind of turn you on to this brand. And, I like Alexander. I'd like to be able to collaborate them again because they do have, I'm just going to go right to their website. They did come out with remember, Alexander is like sort of the higher end sterling, but I'd say it's definitely nicer than sterling. When I compare a lot of my sterling watches to this, I don't think a lot of the sterling watches, I don't mean all of them, but some of the sterling watches, a lot of them are not 316 stainless steel that I can tell, right? Whereas this is more their, I think, the higher end version. It's like Toyota and Lexus, but see, the difference between Toyota and Lexus is like there's not really much of a difference between Toyota and Lexus, but that's just a different argument. All right, so they do have one that really I've been eyeballing for years now, and they still make the Vanquish. They just don't call it the Olyn. And this one here has like this kind of burnt orange face. It is a Valjoux. I like that they did a totally different bracelet on it. It's more of a we got 2, 4, 6, 8. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-link bracelet. Totally unique looking. Totally doing its own thing. Price on it. This is directly from. Is that directly? No, this is from Ashford actually. $1,100. So definitely, I think more in line with what you're gonna pay. Joma has it for $1,800, and this is the thing here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Price point: $1,100. Say about $1,200 from Ashford. I'll put the link in description. Up to $1,800 from Joma shop, and then the same watch on Ashford, $1,600, different color, and directly from Alexander. Let's see if they have it on their site. Yeah, $3,700. So the price is going to be all over the place when it comes to watches, and luxury brands are no different. Just remember, give each watch a fair shake. Look at the specs, and I talk about this all the time. When you are looking at watch specs, you're going to find that most watches. So my check boxes, 316 stainless steel. You have that, you're good to go. After that, well, number one, do you like it, right? If you don't like the watch, no point in you looking at it. But and price point too. If you look at a watch and you're like, oh, it's $1,000 best case scenario, that's way outside my budget, then that should be either something for you to save for or find something that is within your budget. But getting back to the build quality, 316 stainless steel. Next to that, what kind of movement do you like? Do you prefer a quartz or do you like an automatic? If you like an automatic, what kind of automatic are you looking for? If you're specifically looking for a Valjoux because you want a Valjoux in your collection, then you're going to be paying more for the watch. After that, really, does it have a screw-down crown? Does it, without holding the watch, just looking at specs, does it have a milled clasp? Does it have a screw-on case back? Does it have, what kind of crystal does it have? And I think this one here has, I keep seeing a reflection out here. I think this one here has, it's so funny on here, actually. They don't have, this is directly on, oh, there it is. Okay, so it is sapphire. So even on the new one, the limited edition is a sapphire crystal as well. So, those are kind of things that, and a crystal isn't really, I kind of repeat myself in every single video, but sapphire crystal is not like guaranteed to not scratch it. And yes, it is the most scratch resistant, but if you have just a standard, Flame Fusion, Cristerna, whatever, those are still very scratch resistant. But paying more for a watch does warrant a more expensive crystal, but to put in perspective, steel dive, $150, sapphire crystal. So it's not something that's, over the top, really. But anyway, it's a great looking piece, and I'm going to reach out to Alexander today again. It's been a couple years. I'll reach out, and I've reached out at least 3 times since we've originally collaborated. My connection there is no longer there, so I'd love to get my hands on this, share it with you guys. But great looking piece. Let's throw it on the wrist, see what it looks like. 5'8", 180 pounds, 7-inch wrist. 43, definitely starting to get more towards what I think, not for me personally, I don't consider 43 oversized, but it's leaning towards what a lot of watch guys will consider starting to get oversized. Once you go past that 42, then you're starting to kind of creep up to 40. I'd say 47 is what would be considered oversized by most folks out there. But, I mean, it's a great looking piece. I mean, black bezel. I think on this, what I like about this compared to, I have so many black bezel watches that are sub-enter homage, style watches. This one, I like, it just does its own thing. When you look at this, you're not like, oh, is that a Rolex? Like, the busyness of the chronograph, the function pushers, it's a sweet looking piece. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. I never state that. I guess I need to because my videos hardly get any views anymore. So, so do your part. Help me out. If you like the content, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.